guys, welcome back to another video this week. I'm glad you're back for another recipe. This week's recipe is going to be chicken and green sauce. A lot of people don't like mole, so if you don't like mole, you would love this recipe because it's kind of like mole but without all the spices. It's not very thick and it's a little spicy as well, and it's a lot easier to make this recipe than the mole recipe. This recipe comes really close to my heart because this recipe, my mom makes it every year on my birthday. It's the same recipe that she makes for me, so you know it's special whenever she makes it every year. For this recipe, we're going to be needing tomatillos. Now, I like mine to be very saucy, so I'm going to be adding extra tomatillos in there so I can have extra sauce and just dip it with tortillas and kind of make like enchiladas on them as well. So I'm going to be using about 20 tomatillos, but if you're just using it for your chicken, for your green sauce chicken, you can use 10. A little bunch of cilantro. Make sure you don't get parsley. Half of an onion. 3 to 4 serranos. 2 garlic cloves. Cumin. And salt to your taste. I'm going to be using chicken drums, but you can use any part of the chicken that you like. I'm going to be using 6 chicken drums. You can use any part of the chicken that you want. You can use chicken breast, a whole chicken. If you're using a whole chicken, go ahead and stick with the 20 tomatillos. But if you're using half of a chicken or smaller portions, just divide it. I'm going to be using 5 chicken drums that we're going to be cooking on water. On a pot, we're going to be adding the chicken, salt, garlic, and a piece of onion. We're going to cook all of this together on the stove on medium to low heat. My stove has been on for about 15-20 minutes. Our chicken is about halfway done. We're going to add our tomatillos now. If you want, you can cook your tomatillos separately. I just like to cook them on the same water with the chicken. Or you can just remove the chicken and add your tomatillos on that same water, however you want to do it. We just want them to change color and then we're going to take them out. In the meanwhile, while that's going on in a blender, we're going to add our serranos, garlic, onion, and cilantro. We're also going to be adding our cumin. Make sure that you add a little bit of cumin if you're not very familiar with the taste, because a little bit of cumin goes a long way. So if you need more, you can always add more later. I'm checking my it's been about 5 minutes and I'm checking my tomatillos. I was stirring the tomatillos so all of it could get cooked. Now my tomatillos have already changed color. We're going to go ahead and take them out. Put them into the blender where we have the rest of our ingredients. Add between 1.5 cups and 2 cups of the chicken broth. If you're cooking the tomatillos on separately, you can add that same water where you cook your tomatillos with. Remember, you added salt to your chicken broth with the chicken when you started cooking it. So don't add any salt now. Make sure you wait to taste your salt until everything comes together, because you don't want it to end up salty. And we're going to blend this together. On that same pot, I removed the chicken broth and the chicken. I'm going to be adding a little bit of vegetable oil. We're going to let that heat up. After about 20 seconds, we're going to add our onion. Make sure you cook your onion to a golden brown color to get a seasoning. And we're going to add our tomatillo sauce that we already blended. We're going to cover this and let this come to a boil. When you blend your tomatillos, when you're blending your tomatillos, make sure you have a blender that can handle heat. A lot of blenders cannot handle heat and it's going to explode on you. If yours has a little hole on the top, make sure you keep it slightly opened, but not all the way because it can burst open. Or you can also wait until the tomatillos have cooled down, as well as your chicken broth, let it cool down so that won't happen to you. After about 3 minutes of my sauce being boiling, we're going to go ahead and stir our sauce. Check for the saltness at this time. Also for the cumin. If you feel like you need to add a little bit more cumin, you can add this at this time. And we're going to add our chicken as well. If your chicken needs a little bit more cooking, you can finish cooking the chicken at this time. I usually leave my chicken to where it's almost cooked, but it still needs a little bit cooking to be done because I don't want my chicken overcooked. And I just finished cooking my chicken here. We're going to let this sit here for about 10 minutes. Let it all come together. Let the chicken absorb the sauce. After about 10 minutes, this is how it looks like. I feel like I added a little bit too much water on there. I want a thicker consistency, kind of like mole. So I'm going to be leaving the lid open. But if you want like a more saucy, this would be great. 2 cups of chicken broth would be good for you. I feel like I should have only used 1 chicken broth. But if you made the exact same mistake as I did, leave the lid open, and the water is gonna evaporate, and you're gonna have a thicker consistency. Also, when you're making your rice, if you feel like you overdid the water, don't close the lid. Leave it open, and that's gonna evaporate the water faster, and you're gonna have a fluffier rice versus just having like a runny rice with too much water on it. That's usually what I do when that happens to me, because I don't measure my water when I'm doing the rice. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen to where I do too much water, and I just leave the lid open so the water can evaporate, and I will still have a nice fluffy rice. So I'm gonna leave the lid open for this for about 5-10 minutes. We're back within 10 minutes of this boiling by itself without a lid. As you can see, it is a little bit much thicker. It's not as watery as it was before. And I'm just gonna leave it like this. This is a good consistency for me. Like I said, it's up to you however you want to do it. And I'm just gonna make a side of white rice for this. I'm going to leave the recipe for that white rice that I already have on this channel. It's actually one of my top videos that I have. I guess a lot of people like the white rice that I made. If you guys want to try that rice, I'm also gonna be putting the red rice recipe just in case you want to use that as well, whichever one you want to use. And here is the end result for my chicken and white rice with vegetables. Like I said, my mom always makes this recipe for my birthday every year. It's an easy recipe that you can make. And like I said, if you don't like mole, this would be another option for you. Similar to mole, but without all the ingredients, and a much faster and easier way to make it. If you guys don't like cilantro, you don't have to add the cilantro, but I was taught that every time that you do a green sauce, you always have to add cilantro on it. It just depends on the part of Mexico that you're from and the traditions that your family uses whenever you're cooking. My family always uses cilantro, but there's a lot of people who don't like cilantro, so for those of you, you can just leave the cilantro out and it'll taste just as great. And this is all for today's video. Don't forget to come back next week for another brand new recipe. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already for new videos every week. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Share with your friends if you loved it. Don't forget I have an Instagram page and a TikTok page. Follow me. I'll leave the links down below as well. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week with a brand new recipe. Bye!